This is the Purple Passion Project with host and clinical sexologist, Dr. Stacy Friedman. This is your go-to podcast for raw, real, and irresistibly juicy conversations about sex, intimacy, connection, and everything in between. Whether you're feeling a little stuck in your love life, curious about what turns you on, or just craving conversations that actually matter, you're in the right place. So now, please welcome the host of the Purple Passion Project, Dr. Stacy Friedman.
What do you get when you mix purple, passion, and permission to be your true self? This podcast. Hi, I'm your host, Dr. Stacy, and this is the Purple Passion Project. It's coming to you live and unfiltered, and this is the show where we talk sex, intimacy, connection, and everything underneath the surface, because let's be honest, small talk is boring and you're ready for the good stuff. So just relax, drop your guard, and get ready for truth, laughs, maybe a few gasps, and a whole lot of passion. Today, we are peeling back the layers on sexuality, gender, identity, and we're bringing in someone who is on a mission to rewrite the narrative for anyone who does not fit neatly in a little box. Mark Cusack is an author, lecturer, specialist coach, and the creator of the online platform Lines-Redefining. It's an inclusive space that reaches over 50,000 people. That's a lot of people across 6 platforms. His work focuses on supporting individuals that have complex, fluid, or undefined sexualities and gender identities to include bisexuality, asexuality, neurodivergence, and non-binary experiences. So after surviving his own struggles and feeling isolated by those rigid structural social norms, Mark turned his journey into purpose, and he's been creating powerful content, mentoring thousands, and raising awareness globally. So his message is clear that the radical truth is the key to intimacy, self-acceptance, and healing. So I want to welcome Mark. How are you?
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
That's a lot of people you've helped.
Yeah, it's slightly weird to speak online and feel like you're in an audience of tens of thousands, but yeah, it's a great gift. So thanks for extending that, hopefully today.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate it. I wanted to be able to talk about this because especially nowadays, when there's so much issues socially, to be able to be accepted for who we are, I think it's such an important subject to talk about. And so I want to be able to hopefully help people feel comfortable coming out as who they are and not having those blocks and boxes to have to fit into, and just being just being who you are. So this is going to be a great conversation. I'm really excited. So let me ask you, growing up in a world that only offered, just maybe a label of either gay or straight as options, what did that binary have on people who didn't necessarily fit in, and how did you get involved in that?
Yeah, thank you so much for promoting this conversation. That's exactly it. I grew up in the 90s, kind of 2000s-ish, and at that time, there was only kind of 2 things that you could be.
Right.
One was straight, and that was okay. One was gay, and that was terrifying and wrong. But at least this word gay was slightly understood. It was something that you could be, and although it was quite difficult, people knew what it meant. And
Right.
So when I was at school, there were a couple of people who, kind of maybe came out and things, and that was fine. And so I was thinking about my own attractions in my teens, and I developed attractions to guys. And so I thought, well, okay, I must be gay. That's what that is. And yeah, that's scary, but that's going to be me.
Right.
But the bit that they didn't tell me about was that I also had attractions to women and kind of everything in between. And I didn't really understand how that could be. And so because no one told me that that was an option, that that was a natural thing, I started to get really confused, really down on myself. And I went to some really dark places, feeling super alone, super isolated and alienated. And I just felt like there's something wrong with me. And later on, I realized that there's a word for that.
Right.
But yeah, at that time, it was really, really, really a hard place to be. It was horrible.
Well, especially I think that society is a little bit harder on men that may be questioning or, automatically. I know that in my practice, there's so many times that I'll be talking to individuals who are cisgender men and they are questioning their sexuality because they're either in a relationship with a woman and are very attracted to women, just kind of like you said, and then they're also attracted to men, but then they're like, am I gay? And they don't understand that you don't have to be considered one way or the other, that it's fluid. But for women, it's like, oh yeah, I could do this. I'm curious. I'm this, I'm that. And it's acceptable. And for men, it's not always as open. And so that's why I think that the more people that you can represent in this world, that it is okay and it's normal, I think that's awesome. So what kind of gave you that passion to get out there and actually work with people yourself to start speaking more about it? Were you in this from the beginning, or was it something that you just kind of fell into?
Well, I kind of got to a really dark place, as I said, and
Right.
I kind of got to a stage where I was like, I can't deal with this. I was like, I can't live like this. Life does not make sense. And the one thing which actually kind of made me think, okay, I can actually go on living, quite as extreme as it might be, was the idea that there must be other people out there like me, and I must be able to connect with them. And if I can find them, then I have to speak with them. And I didn't know where those people would be because I'd never met them. But, fast forwarding to today, I now speak to thousands of people and I coach people, and I've written a book and people are reading it, and I speak with loads of people at conferences and trainings and seminars and all kinds of things. And so really it was something that was just so essential for me to do.
So, and for everybody else, I'm sure. And like you said, there was nobody like you, or you weren't meeting people like you. I'm sure you did, but they weren't able to express themselves either. Because I kind of went through the same journey. For me, I'm considered, also fluid in many ways. And a lot of times I was kind of like, gosh, am I the only crazy one? Until, like you said, when you start getting out there and talking to people and you realize, wow, I'm actually normal. There are other people out there like me, so.
Yeah,
So I think that what you're doing is amazing. And listen, you're in the UK, correct?
that's right.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I'm in United States in Florida. So just the opportunity for us to even meet is just awesome, to be able to help people all over the world. So this is great. So when you did start your platform, the Not Defining, what kind of was your vision at the beginning? Was it just connecting people, and then how has it changed? Or is it kind of like, you've brought it about from the beginning and it's just doing exactly what you wanted it to do?
Yeah, so it's a really weird experience actually, because I never liked social media. People were using Instagram and stuff, and I was like, oh no, can't do any of that. I'm not that kind of person. But I actually got to a place where I was like, okay, I was kind of out-ish. And for a lot of
Ish.
people who don't have like recognized identities, the kind of out-ish is like a thing for us. So I was kind of out in that I told people. that I was bi and whatever else. But I kept getting so frustrated because nobody understood what it was about. Nobody took any notice of it. And I kept having to like explain it over and over again. And so what I decided to do was to make a little Instagram account. And it was really just for me personally. It was just to actually have a place where I could go, do you know what? If you have
Don't
questions,
ask me questions, just go check my Instagram.
to check my Instagram.
Right.
I had no idea that anyone would ever like really connect with it. But yeah, I was wrong. So as soon as I started posting, people started responding, people started following, people started commenting and saying, oh my goodness, thank you so much for talking about this. And it just really went from there. And so I started on Instagram, and then I think I went to Twitter, as it once was. And then I went to TikTok, and then I went to YouTube. And really, I just wanted to express myself in as many ways as possible. And people seemed to really, really connect with it. So it just grew and grew and grew and grew until today, when it's a pretty huge platform. If you type in the word bisexual to Google, you get my face, and it's just grown from there. So it was really very much not planned, but here we are.
So that's really cool. So you go into it expecting one thing, and here it is, and turn into this huge, what we call ripple effect. And it can help people understand that there are other people like me. So that's awesome. And I think that speaking of the ripple effect, I think that so many people that maybe have never seen themselves before in another person, kind of like what you said at the beginning, it's like, I didn't think there was anybody else like me. That, I'm sure, has helped so many people see themselves and be able to look at you and be like, okay, so this is real. I understand, because there are so many labels. You've got, like you said, I said in the beginning, you got bisexuality, you got pansexual, you got asexual, you got, I mean, there's just so many different labels. So, I'm sure that you've noticed over the years. How long have you been doing this?
I think I started in 2020 or 2019, so about I guess 5 or 6 years now.
So have you seen a lot of improvement in people, not improvement, but the ability of people to connect more? I mean, you're getting more and more connections, and you can see that ripple effect.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's funny because society is going through its own story in terms of the LGBT community. And kind of when I started, it was during that time when people were learning more about a lot of different identities. So gender fluid, trans identity, bisexual, pansexual. It was kind of a time of opening. And I really kind of benefited from that because I was in that space right at the time when I think society was like open to it. But in the last couple of years, I feel like we've had a bit of a change where trans identity and non-binary identity and the LGBT community as a whole has kind of come under this right-wing attack. And so now things have become a lot more political, and people have started to take attention away from those less recognized identities and stuff. And we are now, I feel, more in a position of really just fighting for that basic dignity and those basic rights. So I would love to say that over the course of time doing this, things have improved and society has opened up. I don't actually think that has happened. But what I see is on the personal level, on the individual level, so many people, I mean, I can't even count the amount of people who have said, this has helped me, this has helped my family, this has helped me in my relationship, I've come out, like it's endless. So I think the political level can be scary and feel like it's regressing, but actually people are waking up, and that's really exciting.
Yeah, and I love that, because I was going to say the same thing, is that, you finally get this movement, like you said, around 2020 when you came on, where people are like, oh, well, there's a name for this, or now I'm understanding myself better. And there are more people, I feel, in this world that are coming out and are feeling free to be themselves. But we are, being under the attack of, the political climate, and that makes it very difficult. And if people would just, and that's why this conversation is so important, if people can just listen to others and just understand and just see that we're talking love, we're talking about self-acceptance, we're talking about things that are all positive. And so when things are being made negative like this, the more people that we can affect individually, like you said, individually, or, in their own home, the more people that can come out, the more accepting, I think, in the future that other people can be. Because right now it is a scary time for many. And so we do have to keep talking. We do have to keep helping educate. And that's what we're just trying to do, is educate. Is just, you are just as normal as me, as just as normal as the neighbor. We're all just people wanting to love each other and ourselves. So I love that. So, as a specialist coach, what are some of the challenges that people that are feeling undefined or have fluid identities, what do they feel when it comes to self-acceptance? What kind of challenges do you see, besides some that we already mentioned?
Yeah, lots of challenges. So I think the first one is the pressure in society to have a label. We live in a world that requires us to label our sexuality.
This.
And
Right.
right, and if you think about that, your sexuality is actually something quite personal, right? It's
I know
not
mine
actually
changed over the years.
right, like, and
Absolutely.
it's maybe something for me and maybe my partner if I have one, but there's not really a need for the general person in the street to like know what my attractions are. So that's the first one, is like this overwhelming societal obsession with who
Who
you're
are you and
aroused
who do you
by.
sleep with?
Like, who do you think? It doesn't matter.
Right.
And so actually a lot of us are just unique and kind of a bit of this and a bit of that, and it's fine, and everyone is different. That's what makes us beautiful and what makes us hot to each other, right? So but trying to explain that in like one word is really, really hard, and it's really confusing. And so people rack their brains, and then they become anxious, very stressed. Obsessive anxiety is a huge problem in this community.
Yeah.
Because people just go in on themselves and like, what am I? What am I? What am I? And it's fueled by all this fear. And then the next thing is, well, if I don't define myself, then I might lose my ability to have a partner. I might lose my ability to have a family. My own family might reject me. My work colleagues, my friends might judge me. So what the nervous system is experiencing is actually a huge, huge threat.
Right.
It's a threat to survival. And so people are undergoing this huge, huge trauma internally, and there's no one to speak to. And that's the next thing. There are so few role models. There are also therapists, coaches, counselors, practitioners, healthcare professionals who don't understand the spectrum of sexuality. So if you're on the asexual spectrum, a lot of people get medicalized, they get pathologized, right?
A lot
They
of
say, oh,
pathology. Yeah.
right, go to a doctor because there's something wrong with you. Take some drugs to kind of make you better. You can still have conversion therapy for asexuality because it's seen as a problem. It's still seen as a disease like homosexuality was and all. So there's all this societal misunderstanding. And if you do talk to somebody, you might get acceptance, but acceptance with ignorance. So people might be, oh, that's okay, we accept you. Oh, I'm sure you work it out, or I'm sure it's just a phase. All of these things which quietly gaslight you and add to the confusion. So there's just this whole load of confusion mixed with a huge threat of your life potentially being destroyed, and people just have to go through it alone. So it's really
Gives me
tough.
goosebumps. I mean, really,
It's horrible.
it's so emotional. It's so unnecessary.
Oh,
It's
so
just
unnecessary.
so
So
unnecessary.
unnecessary. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just people just want to be happy. And, with all that societal pressure, especially when you're trying, especially with religion and politics and all that kind of stuff, it just
Yeah.
piles on and on and on. And if you can just be able to just peel off the layers and just be who you were born to be, it just would be so much easier. And I guess that's not life, but hopefully, like we said, the more education people can learn about that, like you said, we're pathologizing things that are just individual quirks or individual things that people have. But
Yeah.
anyway, I'm loving this conversation. We're just going to go to a quick commercial break, and we'll be back in 2.
Looking to reignite passion, deepen intimacy, or overcome challenges in your sex life? Meet Dr. Stacy Friedman, a clinical sexologist and certified sex coach with over 20 years of medical and coaching experience, dedicated to helping individuals and couples build more connected, confident, and satisfying intimate lives. From performance anxiety and desire mismatch to communication struggles and curiosity about pleasure and identity, Dr. Stacy creates a safe, judgment-free space for real transformation. Her unique blend of medical insight and compassionate coaching welcomes all, whether you're single, partnered, poly, queer, straight, exploring, or rediscovering yourself. Through one-to-one coaching, she helps clients explore their desires, break through barriers, and embrace a more empowered sexual self. And the best part? She offers a complimentary 15-minute consultation to ensure it's the right fit. Visit drstacyfriedman.com to schedule your free call today. Dr. Stacy Friedman, where her passion is to help you create yours.
And we're back. So we had talked about some of the I can never say that word, neurodivergence earlier in our conversation. And I know that is very impactful in relationships and expressing gender and sexuality. So what do you see when you're talking with people or reaching out with people that are neurodivergent? How can they understand or express their gender or sexuality, or help others understand what they're feeling or thinking?
Yeah. Thanks so much for asking about this, because it's a real kind of intersection that we see quite a lot, and there's more research that needs to be done. But
Yeah.
the research that we do have pretty clearly states that people who are, for example, autistic, are more likely to be LGBT, and particularly likely to have a kind of undefined non-monosexual attraction. So maybe bisexual, pansexual, or on the asexual spectrum, or non-binary or trans in their gender. And for myself, a bit of a stereotype, because I am all of those things. I'm autistic, bi, ace, and non-binary. So I think it really, really makes sense, because all of those things are spectrums. None of those things are like set in stone. And for autistic people, oftentimes we have like just a slightly different way of like seeing things. So the way that most people categorize things is not necessarily the way that we categorize them. And so sexuality and gender, love, sex, relationships is just a part of that. And I think a lot of people don't get that. I think when you talk about neurodivergence and its impact on sexuality and gender, it kind of becomes scientific, and people are like, oh, wow, okay, so this is actually like a thing. A lot of people are like, oh, yeah, you're bisexual. Oh, that's just like some choice or like a lifestyle, But really, I think it's important that people see these differences. And then on the other hand, it can be doubly difficult if you're struggling with neurodivergence, then to also have sexuality and gender to deal with as well. So it's even more important that we kind of support those individuals because they've got like double the challenges.
Yeah, and because I've worked with quite a few people in my practice that are neurodivergent or autistic, and just in general, there's a lot of personal struggles with relationships. And then to add on that question of sexuality. And I didn't even realize that until recently, where I was speaking with actually a couple of different people. It was just all of a sudden I noticed that a few of the people that I had connected with were struggling with their identity. And I started putting it together. So that's another reason why I was so excited to talk to you, because it's something that you work with. And I just find it fascinating that every person is going through their own journey. And when we're talking about the brain, it's not, like you said, it's not just, oh, let me just pick this, because the people that are neurodivergent, there's obviously something different on how they process in their brain. And so when you have some more of those struggles coming out, it makes sense that it's the way you were born, and people are questioning, oh, well, like you said, it's just a phase, it's just that. If people are a little bit more different with their brains and they're still having these struggles, then obviously it has something to do with us biologically, but I've noticed more and more that you said, which I didn't even realize, that more of the people that I have been connecting with that are neurodivergent do struggle with their sexuality. I find that very interesting, but it's definitely something that is needed. And so when you work with the clients, you work with a lot of neurodivergent clients as well.
Yeah, and it's funny because I think a lot of people who, I guess, engage in spaces which are predominantly like bisexual or gender diverse or asexual, you just meet a whole load of neurodivergent people and you're like, hold on.
How does this all fit in?
I remember when I very, very first joined like a bi visibility committee organization, and the vast majority of people were autistic. And it was like, hold on, are there any neurotypical people here? You're like, who are you? It was so weird. And I, at that point, actually, because I was late diagnosed, didn't even realize. And I was like, I really connect with these people. And then
you're like, maybe I should check myself out.
It's wild, but it's one thing that has a lot of parallels, because a lot of bi, ace, non-binary people come out much later on because they don't realize it, because it's not so clear cut.
Right.
It kind of feels like a coming out as well if you have a neurodivergence. So you have to like tell friends and family, and then they don't understand. And so you have to kind of educate them and explain it. And you're constantly having to explain it. People are like, well, why do you have to explain this? Why do you have to make this your whole personality? And you're like, well, I'm not, but I have to in order for you to understand. So I can be myself. And all of those things are like totally matching with sexuality and gender piece as well. So there's so much connection and relation there. Yeah. It's just it's very funny.
Yeah, no, I've noticed that more recently, the more people that I connect with, because at the beginning it wasn't as common, or like we said, people were not as open to coming out. And the more people that I've had reach out to me that have been coming out, they have issues such as the autism or ADHD or all these other things. I think we all have something, it's just being able to speak about it and help others understand. So speaking of bisexuality and asexuality, There's a lot of nuances with those words, and a lot of myths that people have out there. And it's one of the things I was talking about, where a man can't be one or the, a mix. They have to be one or the other. What are some other misunderstandings or myths that you see that we need to nix out of the picture?
Oh, so many.
So many.
Let's
start with one or two.
I think the first one is that being bi means that you need to get with people of different genders. So a lot of people think that being bi and polyamorous is the same thing. No, it's not. Research shows that most bi people are monogamous, and it also links to another kind of negative stereotype that if bi people are in monogamous relationships, that they're more likely to cheat. Again, research shows that that is not the case. Actually, all sexualities are pretty much equal when it comes to unfaithfulness.
Depends on the person.
Everybody cheats. And so that's completely not true. Another one which actually pertains particularly to women, not only, but particularly damaging to women. And this is where I think bi women kind of suffer specifically, is the idea that being bi means that you're promiscuous, or you're very, very open to sex, or you're very kind of like free in your sexual behavior. Again, that's completely not true, and it can cause a lot of damage to particularly bi women who are kind of seen as being open to threesomes or open to being propositioned, that kind of thing. Sexual harassment is just really a problem. And then asexuality and bisexuality, I think there's an idea that it's kind of finite. So asexuality means that you never think about sex, you've never been attracted to anyone, you never want to have a relationship, you never have a fantasy, you never watch porn. That's not true. Some ace people are like that, and that's okay, but it's a spectrum. So you have a lot of variation. So asexuality is really just language to be able to express the fact that some people have a lower degree of sexual attraction, and that is actually normal, and we are all on a spectrum. So we're not all perfectly the same in terms of how much we experience sexual attraction or how much sex we want. The other thing, like I mentioned before, asexuality is like a disease. It's something that's wrong with you. That's completely not true. And linked to that is the confusion between asexuality and libido. So it's quite understandable. People get confused. It's quite kind of nuanced difference. But libido is about your actual body's state of arousal. So you might kind of go through a period where like you're feeling less into sex or something like that. It might go up and down. It might be that you had an operation, or you get older, or you come out of a relationship, something like that, or you're depressed. Right. Yeah, so that's libido. It's like the natural fluctuations and things, and that can be, it can be supported with either medical or psychological support, stuff like that. Asexuality is about your actual capacity to experience attraction. So an asexual person doesn't know what it feels like to be attracted to someone sexually, or they experience that just to a very low degree, whatever. So I understand that that's difficult, but that's one of the misconceptions.
Right. And it's not that they don't necessarily don't have sex, because some people think asexual people don't have sex. Yeah. It just means that, like you said, the capacity to feel that, I guess, innate attraction or desire is not necessarily there, but they could still do things to connect with partners. So just because you have someone who might be asexual doesn't necessarily mean that they're not open to sexual experience. And that's also
Exactly.
kind of important too, because people think, I have a lot of people where I'm going to generalize, where husbands diagnose their wives as being asexual because they have no desire. So when I talk with them in session, they're like, I just think, she's like, I'm just asexual. And I'm like, okay, let's just go backwards. Let's talk about this, and then we learn that there's a lot more to it. Your libido is tanked. You're not having a good connection with your partner. Oh, you had a great relationship before. Oh, well, I've never been into sex. It's something that is, like you said, a little difficult sometimes to understand or to know where you stand. But first of all, it's okay. We're not all on that same level. There's all different types of levels, all different types of spectrums. There's a lot of fluidity in it. And we just have to understand that what happens many times in relationships is that there's only a problem when you're on different levels, and that's when people come to seek out you or me or anybody else, where many times if you find someone that is very similar to you, then your libido or your lack of desire or sexual interest is not a problem. So it all just depends on the relationship you're in, So, and that's what
100%.
also some people don't understand. So,
Absolutely.
but those are some great myths. And I think that one of my favorites that you mentioned was just the idea of people who are bisexual or pansexual or that have multiple interests are not able to be monogamous, because as soon as someone says, oh, well, I don't want to date someone who's bisexual because then you can go have an affair on me with a woman or a man. And it's like, if you're not that type of person who's going to go have an affair, it doesn't matter who you're attracted to, because you could say that about someone who's heterosexual. I mean, you can go out with another guy just because you have girlfriends. If you're bisexual as a female, doesn't mean that I'm going to go out with a girl and go have an affair on my husband because I'm attracted to women. It's definitely a myth that needs to be busted. So those were great.
Yes.
So as far as holding different identities, because even though we don't like to put ourselves in a box, we still want to be able to explain ourselves. So you have the bi, the ace, the non-binary, neurodivergent. There's right now in the world, they just want to say man, woman. They just want to say gay, straight. So holding all these different identities, how do we support people like that? What does it mean to hold all these identities in a world that only wants to have yes or no, black or white,
Yeah. Yeah. And I may offer an alternative slightly to what you said. I think they want it to be man or woman and they want it to be straight.
Right. Okay. That's true. That's true. Sorry.
No, I'm just being facetious there, but I think,
Yeah.
I think there are certain people in the gay and lesbian community who believe that the right wing are going to kind of accept them if we only get rid of the less understood parts of the community, then they'll be okay. But I just don't think that's really the case. I think to be an LGBT person or anyone who doesn't fit the gender or sexuality norm has always been really, really difficult. And so it's actually not something new. I think if you look back to when I was growing up, things were immensely, immensely difficult. Then they kind of got like a little bit better for a bit, and now it's kind of going down again. Queer people have been through this. So I just think, do you know what? Your community is there. We are very used to this. We will get through this. This is just the last in a long list of nonsense that we have come through. And so I think if you can
We're here
remember
to
that,
stay.
absolutely, we're here to stay. We're here to slay. And I genuinely believe that. I genuinely believe that. Like it's
Same.
not going to pass. And so you have community around you. There are so many sources of support. Online is now available. Look at us speaking from across the world. There's social media. There are ways to connect. So I would just say, it is really hard, but you have a huge group of people, probably more than you
Support.
think, who are here to support you, and we will get through it.
Yeah.
I would also say you own the right to express yourself the way that you want. Period. You do not have to come out. You do not have to follow any particular journey. You do not have to express yourself in any particular way. You also do not have to be LGBT or queer. You do not have to wave a pride flag. You do not have to march in a parade. You don't have to tell your parents. You might want to just tell like your best mate, or you might just want to tell your partner, and that's enough, because that's the only person that needs to know.
It's your journey.
Right? You want to maybe use different words because you feel more comfortable in certain spaces, and then use like other words in others. Like, it is 100% your journey and your choice, and nobody should be able to tell you, oh, you're not queer enough, or you're not doing it right, or you're lying, or you're hiding. No,
you're
just
bisexual.
take your time.
No, you're really gay. It's like, who are you to tell me what I experience?
Yeah, I try to be as gay as possible. Do you know what I mean? Like, I try and be more gay every day, but I still end up bi, and
yeah, you can't try yourself out of who you are.
I tried.
You tried.
It didn't work, so here we are.
Yeah, here we are. Well, here we are going to take one more commercial break, and then we'll be back to chat and be right back.
Let's talk about toys. No, not the ones from your childhood. We're talking about the ones that make your bedroom way more fun. Whether you're flying solo or sharing the sheets with a partner or two, it's time to explore what a little buzz, tingle, or tease can do for your connection, your confidence, and your pleasure. Dr. Stacy isn't just a clinical sexologist and certified sex coach. She's also your personal guide to a whole world of adult play. On her website, you'll find thousands of carefully curated items to explore your wild side or deepen intimacy with your partner. From lubes and lotions to vibrators, bondage, lingerie, and more, everything is high quality, discreetly shipped, and hand-picked with your pleasure and comfort in mind. Because here's the truth. Pleasure is healthy, toys are normal, and adding a little spice to your love life can actually strengthen your relationship, improve communication, and boost your overall well-being. So go ahead, explore your fantasies, try something new, and turn up the heat. Click the shop link at drstacyfriedman.com and start your pleasure journey today. Dr. Stacy Friedman, where passion meets play.
Passion meets play. Very, very naughty.
Here she is, in the flesh.
So anyway, back to, I wanted to talk a little bit about your coaching. What you have seen in your coaching, what have you noticed are some of the things that get in the way of someone who can be fully accepting or expressing in their identity? What are some of the blockages that you see?
Yeah, I think, so I see a lot of different people, and everybody has their own story. But I think one of the big things that comes up for people who maybe don't have such easily definable sexuality is that if they allow themselves to let go and express themselves the way they authentically are, that it's going to mean, normally, I'm 100% gay, my family won't accept me, I'm going to have to leave my partner, or I'm not going to be able to have a partner that maybe I want, and I'm going to be this terrible person who's going to be the stereotype of whatever it is that they have in their head.
All these expectations, yeah.
Yeah, and my entire life is going to be over. So there's this huge, ominous shadow of fear, which mostly is tied up with a whole load of stereotypes, beliefs, negative self-talk, and assumptions. And that fear holds people back.
Right.
And in reality, most of the time, when people actually do let themselves express themselves freely,
they can breathe.
They can breathe. Not only are they not that thing that they feared, but, and here is the beautiful chef's kiss moment. That thing that they feared is the best part of them. It is their power. It is their beauty. It is the
Their
key
strength.
that unlocks everything, and it makes them happier. It makes them more confident, and makes them way more attractive.
Confidence is sexy. Confidence is sexy.
So like, yeah. And so if you're locking away this part of you, because it's a part of you, and thinking, oh, this is awful, I need to hide it. How can someone else love you? Like, how can you love someone else and be confident in yourself?
Until you love yourself.
Yeah, it doesn't work. So I think that's the main blockage. Another blockage is like, I think partners who don't understand. A lot of partners do understand, and people think they won't, and then they do, and it's like really shocking because you're like, oh my gosh. But a lot of partners don't. They can shame their partners, you know, kind of blame them for simply being who they are, you know, make it into this kind of negative thing or what have you. And then I think just societal expectations and people's real desire to fit in. When you're bi or you're ace or you're something in the middle, often you can fit in. And so you have that choice. It's like, I can fit in here just about. And so am I going to choose to jump ship and like risk all of that rejection? And that's so hard. But people actually realize that I can't really exist here because I'm not really being my true self. Yeah, I'm not me. So it's really, really hard when you don't actually have to come out.
Right.
It's like you have to choose to come out. Why would you choose to come out?
No, it's not an easy journey at all. And so embracing people when they're in that not defining, like you said, not defining path, I think that being able to make that decision brings about the confidence, brings about the strength and the beauty in who you are. And you're going to find, even though it may not be what you're leaving behind, what people have feared, you're going to bring something to yourself just even that more beautiful when you are able to be your authentic self. 100%.
100% is the rule.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you said you've written some books, correct? About exploring, navigating fluidity and all that stuff. Tell us a little bit about your book.
I did. Well, what do you know? I happen to have it here.
Oh my gosh, imagine that.
Look at me, such great PR. Thank you for mentioning it.
And it's so pretty. I love it. The bisexual
Thank you.
colors, yes.
Thank you to Jessica Kingsley Publishers for putting it together and making it so beautiful.
It is really pretty.
The beautiful artist that created this. So this is my my book. It's called Fluid, a guide for people with flexible sexuality, and it's the first ever accessible guidebook for anyone who feels that they have changing feelings about their attractions. Maybe they're into different types of people at different times, different genders. Maybe they're questioning, or they're somewhere in the middle. Maybe their sexuality feels like it's evolved or shifted over time, and it's that kind of like fluid, undefined type of orientation. This is a complete guidebook, and it goes through everything from what is fluid sexuality, a bit about the history of it, a bit about the science of it. It goes through some of the research that's been done on it. And then there's also accounts from 8 different fluid people. I share a bit about my own experience, but there's 8 other fabulous people. Shout out to my fabulous contributors. I love you all. And it's people from different genders, different ages, different backgrounds, different places in the world. And so you get like a really good idea of how fluidity can be for different people. And then finally, it gives like a guide. So a guide to how do you come out if you want to? How do you navigate relationships? How do you ensure good mental health? How do you kind of find who you are? And there's some exercises in there and like bits of advice. So it's basically just a really easy, accessible guide for anyone who wants to learn about that. So yeah, and
so even if you're not necessarily fluid and you have family members that may be coming out and you want to try to understand them better, it's something that could be helpful for others as well.
Yeah, it's called Fluid and it's about fluid sexuality, but it's actually a book about sexuality and gender. It explains what sexuality is and what gender is and how we often misunderstand it. And so it goes really, really deep into actually explaining. So if you really want a real understanding of how sexuality and gender actually work, I would really recommend. I've also contributed to a second book, which is coming out in September, which is called By the Way. It is a guidebook for young bisexual teens and youth. So look out for that. I just said, by the way, it's called Step by Step. By the way is another amazing book about bisexuality.
Keep sharing.
So get all 3 of them. But yeah, Step by Step is coming out in September. And
Awesome. You were saying that your book shows a little bit about different steps that you would take. So do you have like, maybe if someone was questioning or, confused, can you just maybe give people the first step that you might recommend to help people move forward?
Yeah, definitely. So first step is trust yourself. Don't look to other people and what they're doing.
That's a good point.
Trust yourself. Number 2, listen to your body. A lot of us are in our heads about this because we're like, what am I? What should I be? What does society say? What's normal? Try to get out of your head.
To your heart and your gut.
Exactly. And so what I like to do is every single morning, and I do this, is take a moment and actually just listen to your body. What does it want? What is it feeling? And it might be small things like, I don't want to get up. I want 10 minutes more in bed, or I need a cup of tea.
Usually I want to stay sleeping.
That's usually what my body's saying like all the time. So getting used to listening to your body and trying to give it what it wants if you can is a really, really good way to connect with what your authentic self is feeling, because the head will tell you all kinds of things.
Right.
So connection with the body. And then when it comes to things like attractions or how you want to move and express yourself or dress or be, having that connection with your body is really fundamental. And then the final thing I would say is see if you can find somebody who is informed to talk to, and really important to find someone who is informed. So talking about it can be really, really helpful just to help you.
Starts the acceptance process and allows you to, sometimes when you have things inside, you don't have the ability to connect because it's not out in the universe. And I feel like when you're able to express it and say, I just spoke to someone the other day, one of my clients, and they said something and they said, you know what, I've never actually said that in person. Wow. And all of a sudden they had this like epiphany, like, wow, this is me. I finally am admitting this to myself. So hearing it, I love that you said that, because speaking it, hearing it, using your voice makes it real and allows you to actually say, you know what? Okay, I'm here. So that's great. That's great. So I want, obviously, people to be able to follow you, get support. You have at Not Defining on your name under there. Is there any other place that they could find you, or is that the best place that they can go, or is that everywhere on social media?
Yes, if you put in Not Defining, all one word, into Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Twitter X, or YouTube, you will find me. I also have a very easy to remember website, which is www.notdefining.com. So great. So you can come to my website. You can find out about my coaching. We also have patreon.com/notdefining. And there we have a community. You can speak with me. I can answer your questions. We have group chats with loads of people who like really get all this stuff, and we can share, like we said, share with people who get it. We've got chat forums and different content. So basically, there's so much support out there for you. And I have connections with lots of different people. If you want to meet people, if you want to get different types of support. Are
you able to coach all over the world so people all over can reach you?
Yes. I think North Korea and Israel and Russia may be the only country, but yes, pretty much all over the world. Yeah, I have a lot of people from the States, from Australia, from Asia, from India, from Europe. Yeah.
That's great. No, it's great that you're able to reach everybody. And I know that a lot of people are going to be able to use the support. So definitely reach out. I just wanted to say thank you again for being on this call. It was definitely needed. And, hopefully people will reach out if they ever feel what you were feeling and what others feel, that they want to be able to explore a little bit more and understand themselves. So I thank you very much. And we'll see you next time. And hopefully we can just stay connected and keep chatting about it all.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your work and all the great things that you do. And thank you so much for inviting me on. I really, really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
It's been so nice.
Absolutely. Thank you again. So I just wanted to say that, with Mark teaching us that self-acceptance does not necessarily come from choosing the right label. It comes from living your truth, and without actually having to need one. That's the important thing, is whether you're questioning your fluidity, neurodivergence, or just beginning your journey, his work reminds us that we're never alone, and there's nothing wrong with not fitting into a box. So that is it for this episode of the Purple Passion Project, where we keep it real with just the right amount of spice. So if today something stirred in you, just let it. And if you loved what you heard, subscribe to see more. If you're ready to go deeper, follow me on social media at Dr. Stacy Friedman for resources and behind the scenes magic. Until next time, stay curious, stay turned on, and never apologize for wanting more. Thank you all.
This has been the Purple Passion Project with host Dr. Stacy Friedman. Tune in each week as Dr. Stacy breaks down walls, busting myths, and gives you permission to want more with no shame, no filters, and definitely no small talk. Check in every Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern, on your favorite streaming platforms. We look forward to seeing you next time. Be sure to visit drstacyfriedman.com to learn more.